I'm Zach, a 100-mile ultramarathon runner, and I'm going to answer your biggest questions while I run my hill workout. Hey everyone, so today I need to get 2,000 vert. This hill's about roughly 70 feet of vert. Found out the hill is only 60 vertical feet, so I'm going to have to do about 34 laps, not 30. I live in a city, so it's really hard to get vert, so I like to come to my local metro parks like this one, and one of the best places I learned to get vert is running up and down a sledding hill like a maniac. Come join me as I do this crazy run. All right, we're off. This is the first lap. For anyone interested in following along with my training, I'm going to put my Strava link down below too, so feel free to follow and check out what runs I'm doing. Yeah, I just got to the top. You can hear how winded I get here towards the top. It's pretty mellow through the bottom section. Halfway up it gets steep, and then right here where I am coming down it gets pretty steep at the top. This is gonna be hard. So the most challenging thing about this workout is gonna be I don't really have a break. So I'm coming down the hill and going right back into it. Coming down the hill on the steep sections, once you get a lot of vert, is almost harder than going up. My goal is to run the whole thing. Obviously in a race, there's no way in hell you'd run a hill like this. You'd be hiking it. But workout wise, I'm gonna try to run the whole thing. So I'm on my 6th lap right now. So the reason I'm doing this workout is my next race in August is Eastern States 100. It's a challenging course. There's over 20,000 vert. It's challenging East Coast running, big rocks. A lot of it is just difficult footwork, and then plus that 20,000 plus vert. I need to get a little vert training. Usually when I train from 100s, I don't do too much vert training, just whatever I get naturally by running on the trails. Maybe like 2,000 a week, because I live in a city and I don't usually get a ton of vert, which is perfectly fine. So if you're training for 100s, you don't need to get a ton of vert. Obviously it'd be helpful, but it's not completely necessary as long as you have good volume and the running you're putting in is quality. So you're doing like, maybe if you want to finish a 100, depending on what condition you're in, doing 60 plus miles a week in your peak training session is definitely sufficient enough, as long as you have some basal level of physical fitness. So the vert isn't necessarily required, but definitely is helpful for supplementing your training. This is probably pretty boring, just watching me go up and down the hill. So I thought maybe I could talk about some of the most common questions I get about 100-mile races. One of them is, big one I usually get is, do you sleep? The answer is different for every 100-mile runner. Ideally, if you run it fast enough, you won't have to sleep, given you have, good sleep quality leading up to the race and you got good sleep the night before. What I found is it's about 26 hours when I start to feel really fatigued, maybe 25. That's when I feel like I need a nap. So if I'm under that, usually I don't have to. Commonly when I race, I'll end up napping 30 minutes in total. And those are usually in several short stints of anywhere from like 5 to 15 minutes, depending on where I am. I tend to try to sleep on the trail, or rather just right off the side of the trail, not in an aid station, so that I'm incentivized to get back up, because I find it's easy to oversleep if you're laying on a cot at an aid station with a bunch of people around. Another really common question I get is, do you stop? And that's kind of a loaded question. So if you're not familiar with ultras, they're usually, they're always, given their regular ultra, a consecutive time frame. meaning you have a certain cutoff time to finish the race. Usually for 100, it's somewhere around 30-ish hours, maybe 32, meaning you can do whatever you want as long as you finish 100 miles on the correct course within that time frame. You're qualified as a finisher. The races, usually, unless you're a professional athlete, do consist of stopping at aid stations, getting something to eat, going to the bathroom, getting water. So you do have maybe an hour to a couple hours of overall stopped time during the race. Now this all goes into the overall race time. It takes you to complete the course. However, you are allowed to stop at the aid stations to get water, refuel during the race itself. Another really common question to get is, how did you get into ultra running? So I ran in high school, did cross country, and then went to college. Didn't run in college. I raced a trail half marathon during that time. Put things in perspective, it was like 2017. I ran a 1:33 then, and then ever since then I really hadn't done much running. Did a lot of climbing and hiking in the outdoors in New Hampshire, and then in 2020 started medical school, and it was in 2023, last summer, I was studying for step 1, which is your first medical board exam. And one of my big reasons for going into medical school was outdoor medicine. I was a ski patroller, search and rescue before, and that really led me into medicine. So one of my passions was getting outside, and while I was studying for that exam, I was kind of just locked indoors. I really didn't have any other target besides completing this exam. So I set a goal for myself to run ultramarathon, and I trained while I was studying. 3 months later, I ran a 50-mile ultramarathon. Loved it. Haven't looked back since. I stepped up my game. I ran a 70 after that, unsupported, and then now I'm running 100 milers, and I love it. It's definitely one of my biggest passions right now. Only 500 vert left. Feeling pretty good. I'm still running. Definitely can finish it up. It's gonna feel good to finish. Definitely tiring. Feeling it in my legs more now. So this last 5 is gonna be difficult, but I definitely have it. So another question I get is, what is my schedule like to train for 100-mile races? And again, kind of loaded question. I could do a whole video on this, go in really depth on this topic. Kind of in a nutshell, at the peak of my training, I try to run around 70 miles. Like I was saying before, a lot of that is somewhat flat. I don't end up getting a ton of vert. This workout I'm doing right now, it's not the usual. This is extremely rare for me. I just want to try to get some more vert in today. One of the big, this is going to be tough as I talk about this going up the hill, but one of the big things I talk about to a lot of people, and this applies not just to running, but just life in general, is with your schedules, you have to be both flexible and rigid at the same time. Find a good balance between these two. So what do I mean by that? Sometimes I'll plan for a 70-mile week, and I'll plan for a certain amount of mileage someday. But sometimes I can't run 10 miles that day. Maybe I have a test. Maybe I have to get a manuscript in. Maybe I have to go into the hospital early the next day for surgery. So there's a lot of confounding variables that make it so that you have to be a little flexible with your schedule. But in the end, I'll compensate by running more miles on some days so that I still meet that 70-mile quota at the end of the week. So I'm rigid in the sense that I'm running 70 miles every week, but I'm flexible in the sense that I don't necessarily do that amount of mileage or that workout that day, depending on what other life stuff I have going on. And it's challenging sometimes because it's easy to just not run when you have those days, but you have to set that precedent for yourself. And it's the same thing with any goals or any other thing on your schedule in life. Things come up, you have to move with the punches. You have to be flexible, but at the same time, you have to know what parts of your schedule you have to be rigid about. Another common question I get is, do I listen to music while I race? Short answer is no, not really. I've got a pair of Shocks, those bone conduction headphones. Bring them with me on every race. Sometimes I'll end up listening to a little bit of music. Sometimes I don't. Most of the times I don't. Some races I don't listen to anything. There's a lot of camaraderie on the trail. So at least in the beginning when you're fresher, we're at aid stations, you're going to talk to a lot of the other runners, make some really good friends. But a lot of the race you're also alone. But it's in those times that I feel it's most meditative. It's more cathartic for me to just really take in the moment, engage with nature, take in my surroundings, than it is to listen to music. Sometimes towards the end of the race, it's hard to explain. It's almost mentally exhausting to listen to music. It's less taxing to just have silence, actually, because when you're, running for over 20 hours, maybe upwards of 30 for these races, your mind is constantly on overdrive. At the same time, a lot of times your mind is just blank. It's a weird in between. Like, I'll run a mile and it'll feel like I've ran like 20 because it just took so long. My mind's just racing. I'm thinking about everything. And then sometimes, I blink and it's already been 10 miles. I thought about nothing, and can't even remember like which sections I ran. Because you get in a weird meditative state during these races. It's pretty neat. There's nothing else like it. All right, and I am off on my last lap here to get over 2,000 vert. It's been challenging. The last 15 yards at the top there has become the hardest. My legs feel really heavy up there. I'm still running the whole thing, just pretty slow at the top. That section's challenging. I gotta just push through it, make sure I don't walk. One more lap here. Hang out with me here while I crest the top, and that'll be it. I'll come on my way down and finish it up. So this is where it gets hard here. Legs get heavy. Yeah, right here. Feels like I'm doing squats. And then level out. That's the top. Whew. Come down the hill and that's it. Definitely earned this one. It's gonna feel nice to finish up. See where I am. Right now, 2,033 vertical feet. Oops. 5 miles, just hit that. And an hour and 6 minutes. Good workout. Challenging. Definitely over threshold. Anaerobic in some sections. Felt good. Just the last maybe 5 laps. It got pretty hard at the top with my legs. Other than that, it felt pretty good. Heart rate was high for some sections, but felt pretty good about it. I'm gonna stride this out here and come back around. That'll be it. All right, that is it. Got my 2,000 vert. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for going on this journey with me. That was a lot of fun. Definitely a challenging workout. Definitely earned it. That was fun. I kind of just went out with the idea of just filming myself going up and down this hill, and it kind of turned into like a short little podcast almost while I was running. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. If you enjoyed this journey with me, if you had fun getting outside, if you enjoyed what I was talking about, if those tips are helpful to me, consider subscribing, hitting that bell, notifications, whatever else you do on YouTube. I like doing this stuff, so I think I'm going to continue putting out some more videos about my ultramarathon experience and running in general. So if that's something you're interested in, feel free to subscribe. If you have any questions, definitely leave them in the comments. I'm a small channel. I'm definitely willing to answer anybody's questions. Just leave them down below. All right, thanks again for going on this journey with me. It was a lot of fun. Get outside.